Toby and Henrietta were rolling steadily through the vast Sudrian countryside, feeling more cheerful than they had ever been in months. A new coach had recently been added to their consist, and her name is Victoria. Not long ago, Thomas and his driver had discovered Victoria in a hedge near Elsbridge Station. She was deemed too old to work on the railway, and for many years was turned into a summer house by the station master there. The Fat Controller was very pleased, and had her restored to her former glory. Now she works happily with Toby and Henrietta, taking all the extra workmen to and from Farquhar Quarry and passengers up and down the branch line. So now everyone calls it Toby's Vintage Train. One day, Toby was idling at Hackenbeck Station when Bertie the bus arrived.
Good morning, Bertie.
Hello, Toby. Is this your new coach?
That's right. This is Victoria. She's helping me and Henrietta carry the workmen that are needed at the quarry.
Oh, so you're Bertie? It's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise. I've heard all about you from Thomas. Mind you, I am glad I don't have to worry about taking the rest of the men now.
Really?
Oh, yes, dear. Before you came along, Bertie used to help me and Toby take off the workmen. The trouble was the roads up there, very steep and dangerous.
Indeed, and I wasn't able to get any closer than the gate leading up to the quarry. Still, I did my best to help while I could.
We know, and we're very grateful of your assistance in spite of everything, even from the day when you came to my rescue.
Oh yes, I remember that day too, although we didn't seem to get along when we first met.
What happened between you two?
We still got a few hours before we have to leave, so we'll tell you.
And so, Toby and Bertie began. Long ago, when Toby and Henrietta first arrived on the Northwestern Railway, they began working the quarry line after Thomas got into trouble with a new policeman. They worked very hard, and the Fat Controller, Sir Topham Hatt I, was very proud of them. One morning, Toby was trundling peacefully along the branch line. He and Henrietta had recently got new coats of paint after helping James when he had smashed into the tar wagons.
I never felt this smart in years.
Neither have I, Henrietta. Though at least there'll be no more talks about dirty objects. Ha ha ha.
Just then, Bertie Bus came by along a parallel road. Toby and Henrietta had never met him before. Hello, slow coach!
Who in the name of Holden was that?
I'm not sure who he is, but I hope we don't run into that bus again.
But Toby was wrong. When he pulled into Farquhar, he found Bertie already waiting there. Dearie me, and I thought Thomas could go faster than this, but you certainly took your own time getting here. And what kind of engine are you, by the way?
I am a steam tram, and while I may not be as quick as you, I'm very useful.
Oh, really? I'm surprised people will want to ride in an old slow engine after travelling in a smart red bus like me. The quicker the better, as I always like to say.
Well, at least my passengers would rather travel in a smooth and careful engine that doesn't get into any accidents, unlike some other road vehicles I know. You're lucky no one ever got hurt by the way you're rushing about. You're maybe efficient, but you're not as reliable and safe compared to the likes of us engines.
Bertie was taken aback, but the station master blew his whistle, and Toby steamed crossly out of the station. Henrietta also gave Bertie a disapproving stare as she left the platform. Later, Thomas was filling up on water at the junction when Bertie drove up, feeling rather upset.
What's the matter with you, Bertie? Are you scared about losing another race to me?
No, I'm not, Thomas. It's that rude steam tram I've met earlier today.
You mean Toby? What did he say?
Bertie explained to Thomas what Toby had said to him. Thomas was surprised at first, until he remembered what the fat controller had told him.
Toby hasn't exactly been on good terms with road vehicles prior to coming here. Most of the buses and lorries have taken away his passengers and goods. And his tramway on the mainland closed down before he and Henrietta were saved.
Oh, that's terrible. I didn't know about that. No wonder why he was so resentful towards me. Still, it was rather uncalled for. After all, you and I work well together on this branch line, but even then I'd never take away most of your passengers.
Of course you wouldn't, and you're a true friend to us engines. Toby just needs a bit of time to get used to some things. However, I'm not surprised from what you've already explained to me. That teasing of yours isn't much of a proper acquaintance, and it would be wise for you to make an apology next time you see him.
That night, Thomas found Toby sitting alone in the shed.
Good evening, Thomas. How was your day?
All going well, and yours?
It's pretty decent. Well, apart from that unpleasant bus I've just met.
Oh yes, Bertie. It's funny because I just saw him today.
You have, eh? Well, I hope he didn't say much rude things towards you like he did with me.
Toby, I understand about you not liking the idea of working with buses, but Bertie would never say such mean things about our railway. In fact, he actually likes working with us. He brings passengers from the villages who wanted to travel by train and helps us out of a bad situation. Sure, he may tease us about it, but even then he'd never want to see it closed down.
Think all you like, but I did warn you. You might end up on the wrong side of him, and then it'll be the death of us all.
Thomas, knowing that there is nothing he could do to convince Toby otherwise, decided to say nothing and went to sleep instead. The next few days that followed didn't improve either. Toby still continued to be bitter towards Bertie whenever he saw him, even when the latter tried to apologize, to no avail. Then one day, a new shipment of coal was brought to the island, but it was filthy and builds up a lot of ash in the engine's smoke boxes. Toby was delivering a load of stones down to Farquhar. As he trundled along, he started to cough and wheeze, and his steam was of a dark gray cloud.
I can do it. I can do it.
But when Toby reached the yard, he was exhausted. His fireman examined him carefully. Just as I thought. That blasted new coal is making it worse. I'd better clean your fire out, but that means we won't be ready in time for our next passenger train. Right, I'll tell the station master to call for Bertie to take our...
No! I refuse to have my passengers travel in that rat-fangled bus.
But Toby, you can't run on this lot.
I don't care. I'm not letting history repeat itself. I'll get them to their stations on one cylinder or burst.
His crew tried to reason with him, but Toby was too stubborn to listen. In the end, they gave up and reluctantly drove him to the platform with Henrietta. Once the passengers climbed aboard, Toby rang his bell and started out of the station. The first half of the journey wasn't easy, but the old tram engine was determined to keep going.
I'll make it. I'll make it. Everyone is counting on me.
Presently, however, the line began to climb. Dark clouds of black smoke poured from his funnel. Even Henrietta was becoming anxious.
Are you sure you want to do this, Toby? You're gonna hurt yourself if you keep on spluttering.
Nonsense, Henrietta. You and I know very well that even with all odds against us, we'll still carry on to our destination in one piece.
But Toby was wrong. His face was as red as James's paint, and the harder he puffed, the more breathless he became. Before anyone realized it, a clanking sound could be heard.
Oh no, please not now. Just a few miles to reach the next station at last.
But it was no use. With a cough and a splutter, Toby ground to a halt near Mrs. Kindly's cottage, unable to move a wheel. Oh, what did we say? What did we even say? You stubborn tram! We warned you about this new coal. Now your firebox is clogged up. For the first time in years, Toby felt very silly indeed. Mrs. Kindly came out from her cottage to see what was happening, and the crew explained everything. The passengers were anxious. If we don't get moving soon, we'll be late for our connection.
Well, goodness knows when it will be until help arrives.
Then they all heard a familiar horn in the distance. The guard scrambled up the embankment with his red flag. Bertie was driving smoothly down the lane when he and his driver saw the commotion.
What's happened?
Toby's broken down due to some bad coal, and these people need to catch their train at the junction. Can you take them, please?
Of course we can, sir.
Toby and Henrietta watched with dismay as all their passengers climbed into Bertie. Bertie drove quickly away, now feeling sorry for Toby. It was getting late before Thomas came as soon as he could and pulled Toby back to the sheds. When they arrived, the fat controller was there, and he didn't look too happy. You have worked so well over these past few weeks, Toby, but I am not happy with your behavior today. Do you have anything to explain about this?
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't want Bertie to take my passengers just like those other buses on my old railway.
I see. Well, Toby, we understand your history with road vehicles, but Bertie is one of the most helpful buses on the island. You just have to accept him as an ally, not as a rival. I also hope you'll learn to be a bit more wary of your own limitations in future.
I already told him that.
Yes, sir.
By the next morning, Toby was feeling a lot better. As he pulled into the first station, there was Bertie. How you feeling?
I'm pretty well, thanks for asking. Fireman cleaned out my firebox and gave me a thorough rub down. How were my passengers? Were they able to reach the junction on time?
Precisely. They were sorry about you yesterday and hope for you to get better soon. Which, without a doubt, you are now.
Did they? Oh, that's very kind of them. Also, Bertie, I'm sorry for the way I acted towards you over these past few days. And with that being said, thank you for helping me.
It's alright. Thomas told me everything. I'm sorry too for my teasing, but I can assure you I'm not like those other buses you're familiar with.
Yes. And now I understand that buses like you bring a reliable service to the railways. Afterwards, Bertie and I became firm friends and worked alongside each other from then on.
That's an incredible story. Thank you for telling me about it, you two.
No problem, Victoria. Anyway, got to go now. Our passengers wait for no one, you know. Goodbye.